5-0? Oh hell no. 6-0. Welcome back to Rose Driven Rides. Today, we're introducing a new family member to our fleet, a 2014 Caprice, brought to you by Maryland State Troopers. Thank you, MD Troopers, wherever you're at. This is our baby, and we're going to show you what comes next. Let's take a walk. Chevrolet produced the Caprice from 2011 to 2017, and I use the word produce lightly. They're actually a Holden-based vehicle out of Australia that comes with a 6-liter LS rated at 355 horsepower, about the same amount of torque. A lot of police departments around America pick these up. They're based on the Statesman edition, which from what we understand from 2008 to probably about the end of production, this was the longest wheelbase car that GM produced. What you get out of a long wheelbase, lots of room, as you'll see here in a minute, a very comfortable ride. Let's talk about the powertrain. It's kind of a unique setup, but it's an LS2 block with LS3 heads, commonly known as the L77. So if you're looking for parts out there or something like that, Texas Speed and Performance and all those guys, they're gonna ask specifically. They got these pretty locked down. They'll be able to tell you like, oh, you are running an L77 with that weird combination. Again, it's 355 horsepower, about the same torque. The downside to this engine, and this is pretty universally stated, it has what people call a DOD, and it's deactivation on demand, or something to that effect. Basically, it shuts half the cylinder banks down when you're just cruising or off the throttle, and it's terrible. Think of the worst 4-cylinder you drove, and and I'm talking like 4 cylinders from the 80s when they were really bad, and it's that bad. It just, makes the dreadful whine. Now, as soon as you hit the throttle, you can go. And there's ways of fixing that. You can do DOD deletes, you can do some programming that doesn't seem to last. And the DOD is actually, that GM put on these, is harmful to the cars. In fact, one of the problems that people commonly encounter are wearing out the lifters and cams on these, and just the whole engine goes kaput. One of the things that we want to take care of immediately, consider this car has about 120,000 miles on it, and that's probably about the life of a DOD system, and the sooner you get it out, the better. One of the ways you can detect it is called the dreaded click. You can hear outside the engine itself, you can hear some clicking noises. This one we don't. She's very smooth, you hear no clicks or anything like that. We'd like to think that the Maryland state government that owned this car before us took good care of it, and serviced it routinely and on time. But look, as you know, and we know, when you rent a car, when the car is not yours, what do? You drive it like you stole it. This car came equipped from GM with 235/50 R18s on steel wheels. We're keeping the steel wheels. We understand that you could get a lighter wheel or something, but we want to keep her as factory as she was when Maryland took control of her, and how GM intended her to come out of the factory. So we're not going to be lightening wheels or changing that up. Probably stick with the same tire and wheel combo, maybe something a little wider if we need to. This car does have a very intrusive stability control, let's call it. It does have a sport mode, and it does have a traction control mode off, but just in toying with that, it seems to still want to nanny you a bit. That could just be our interpretation, but maybe we can solve that in the future, who knows. What would be better than like a former state trooper car just ripping smoky burnouts? Like, we'd never do that in traffic, of course, but just something to think about. That's all. Our particular Caprice that we bought, it came with a few issues, let's say, but it wouldn't be an RDR project if it didn't. So let's do a little walk around, show you about the outside, show you the inside, show you some features that we didn't know these cars came with, maybe even get your advice on how to match this paint. Let's take a look. Right away on the outside, you can tell like these cars appear to have a wide body effect. Love looking at these big fender flares that are built into the fender. Gives it such kind of an ornery look when it's on the road. The two-tone paint scheme, this is a Maryland State Trooper scheme that's, from what we understand, is no longer in production. They've gone to like solid cars now. One of the issues we found when we bought this car was, well, where they took the light bar off. They left a hole. And, good old 550 or 100 mile an hour tape works just fine right there. And we got another few issues here where a little bit of rust where the light bar sat and rubbed through. And then we just got to find some paint to match this up, which we will eventually. Stickers that were on the door, I mean, these are so gross. Like, we tried using some Goo Gone, some other methods to get these off. Haven't been too successful, but we'll see what we can do with that a little bit later. Come around to the back of the car, you can see more State Troopers lining. And one of the things that's interesting about this car is it's E85 ready. It's one of the reasons that we were attracted to it. So we're talking about performance modifications, maybe turbos, superchargers, whatever this future might hold for her. Having that E85 already in there is just a great addition to something else we don't have to do, right? Let's go in the trunk. Woo-wee! Man, that is a Tony Soprano sized trunk. The bodies we can get in there, let me tell you. One of the things about this car that we didn't know when we bought, it comes with 2 batteries. 1, 2. In our estimation, I mean, that gives us plenty of juice to add some subs. I mean, you gotta have your subwoofers, let's be honest. The other little quirky feature this came with is this trap door. So it seems to be metal based, has like a little locking key over here, and it folds down. The only thing we can figure is it just blocks access to the trunk for any of your delinquents you might have in the back seat. Move around to the side. More State Trooper issue stuff that we got to get off. We'll be working on that, as I said. Let's talk about the mirrors for just a second. We are a sucker for good mirrors. And although these mirrors aren't bad, what they lack is just rear visibility, if you will. And so we put these little bubble stickers on them, like Grandpa's googly eyes, and they are, man, these are really game changers. We put them on almost all our cars, even if they have active warning, because you still have blind spots. Let me talk about blind spots coming into the car. Here he is, or she. I think she's a she. She's a beauty, whatever. What we noticed in driving is the A-pillar here really gets in the way of visibility. So if you're thinking about one of these cars, it's a minor thing, but you always seem to be hunting around it with your head to try to look around that blind spot. The car itself is comfortable. The seats are comfortable. It's the MyLink from 2014, those years, which is not a bad system. Some of the irritants, I guess you could say, with that system that we've had, or maybe it's not centered to the MyLink, but at least the infotainment or the dash console with your speedometer stuff, is you don't have ready access to gauges. So unless you, every time you get in the car, physically change the little menu, and we'll show you that here in a minute, you're not going to be able to find your temperature gauge, oil pressure, and all that kind of stuff. It's just hidden from you. Why GM did that, we're not sure. It looks like from 2011 to 2013, those gauges are present on your dash. But once you get into the 2014s, that seems to go away and it goes to just more of a digital cluster. Let's take a look at the back. This is where the fun happens. The real magic of this car. If, you know, you're on the wrong side of Johnny Law, that is. We love the vinyl seats, the vinyl floors, like they're puke and dog poop ready. You know, no problem there. You can just wipe them off and keep going. It is weird, they have it covered back here. Again, this is for the PPP model, or PPV model, sorry, which is the vehicle we have, a police pursuit vehicle. They have these solid door panels which hide the speakers in the door. There are speakers back here under the door, but you'd have to get a different panel and hook them up. I don't know if that's in our future. We'll see about that. If you come around the passenger side, we have that big, ugly center console. Well, we're missing an armrest. Now, you could technically buy all those parts, you know, aftermarket, that if you purchase this car as a 9 Charlie 3, which is some keywords you can look for, it's more of like a detective model, and you could get a center console and just looks more put together. That's not what we were looking for. We wanted the two-tone paint. And so we knew we were gonna have to deal with this issue here where it's just, well, you see for yourself what it is. So we're gonna try to retrofit some different ideas to get an armrest in there because it is a pain getting in and out. You're always looking for it with your elbow as you get in. You end up falling over, and if you're a little on the heavy side, makes it that much more difficult to get in and out. So we're gonna try to fix that up. Shouldn't be that hard, especially considering some of the options out there that you can. If you can even do something off Amazon or maybe a junkyard, but keep following along and you'll see what we do to fix that. Over here, you see that we have a column mount shifter, so to speak. You really don't see those anymore. And I gotta tell you, it's a lot of fun to just cruise with your hand on it. I can't explain like why that feels so good versus, I think we're all used to now the shifters in the console, but having it up there is just kind of a neat little bonus and just kind of fun, to be honest. So what do we have in the car? Let's take a look. So in the car, we have lots of legroom. I mean, this is almost unheard of, but this goes back to the fact that it's just, you know, built on a longer chassis, Statesman's type car. Good headroom, no problem there. Nice overhead light, little red light district action there if you need to make a little money to buy parts, but we'll leave that up to you, ladies and gentlemen. The MyLink system, again, the screen's great. One of the reasons we wanted a 2014 versus the other years is because of this infotainment system. It's a little easier to work with. It's a little easier to get Apple CarPlay working on there versus the other system. We like the look and the layout of it. So, you know, again, just something to consider if you're considering a PPV, what you think is going to be most comfortable for you and to your comfort level to work with. Glove box. Let's see what we got. Owner's manual, registration. Oh, these look like some old light bar stuff. Oh, here we go. Police patrol vehicle. And a state of Maryland traffic violation warning. Okay, this was March 17, 2023. Who was the poor soul? Oh, they were speeding, exceeding the speed limit of 65 miles per hour. Naughty, naughty. Oh, that is funny. We should try to, it has all their personal information on here. We'll shred this, but I mean, you never know what you're gonna get when you buy a police car, and it's kind of proof positive that this old girl was in service. So back to the center console. We ordered a plate to cover this. We'll show you in another video to try to finish this out. If we bought the center console, like on eBay or something like that, you're talking $300 and some. It just didn't seem to be worth it. Some of the prices on this car are a little strange, probably because it is manufactured in Australia and brought over. It's the only thing we can think of. But some of this stuff is just not worth sourcing that way, and it's just better to do it on your own. But let's talk about these dash gauges.
So if you also have a 2014 and above Caprice, you will notice that all the gauges are digital. I mean, you've got your speedo and your RPM gauge, but there's no temperature gauge. So all you gotta do is click the little menu button right here, and boom, you've got almost all of your gauges. And then if you use this little dial right here, you can go up and down. You got remaining oil life, tire pressure, setting the unit, US or whatever metric. Then you have your engine hours. It is a high engine hour vehicle, but that's fine because we do have some plans for this. Stay tuned for that. You got your battery voltage, and then back to your coolant temp. Kind of sucks that there aren't analog gauges, but stay tuned.
I could explain the mask.
Okay, well, since this vehicle did not come with a spotlight, when you're driving, it sounds like someone is whistling.
It does. When we first test drove the vehicle, we're like, what is that noise? We couldn't put our, like, all right, there's something bad wrong with the transmission or something, because it sounded like it's whistling at you hard. And as we test drove it, Ike's like, what is the hole in the A-pillar? And if you can see right through it, I don't know if you can. Yep. You can. There you go. So we searched around the car to find something to get us home, and lo and behold, we found an old mask. And it has worked wonders.
It works amazing. Yeah. Honestly, I'm probably not even going to get a spotlight anymore because this works. Why would you need one?
Speaking of spotlights, oh my God. So used spotlights in terrible condition are like 175 bucks on eBay, and they're specific to the car from what we're understanding. If that's not true, please let us know, because we're having a hell of a time sourcing one without paying $400 to $700 for a replacement. So we've seen other spotlight arms, if I guess, is that what units on eBay for a lot less money for different model cars. We're just unsure if that would actually fit. I guess we could check the diameter and do some other things to figure that out. But if you know already, please put it in our comments or DM us and give us some hope that we can do this at a reasonable price, you know, because we've got some repairs to make on this baby to get it Maryland State legal. Let me show you.
So if you guys can't notice, that rear flex pipe right there where my finger is, right in between, there is a, I believe it's a gasket?
Maybe. we think it is. We've ordered some parts that seem to, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll show you when we get it. Like, what is that down there?
I know. Why do you need that?
Someone calls it a, okay, actually, this is a good point. So when we took the car in for inspection, they showed us, like, oh, okay, you've got a flex pipe leak. And oh my God, we searched the internet. What the hell, flex pipe? They must have been talking about that, right? They're just where they come together. It's not the actual flex pipe, but it's the actual that. So they're like, okay, that needs to be repaired. We're like, okay, great. I'm gonna give you some sticker shock. And they're like, okay, your upper control arms in the rear, they need replaced. They've got some play. All right, fine. I think we feel a little suspension weirdness, but they're the experts. We did all this through a Chevrolet dealership. Coming around back to the front, same thing. They're like, upper control arms need to be replaced. They have some wear in them. Discomforting wear. He had a really weird way of writing it in our summary. Brakes are good to go. Fan. Oh, the bird poop came free with the car, by the way.
Yep,
so that was,
came with the
that was a
purchase.
freebie. The fan, it runs 2 electric fans, and the driver's side fan has wobble, is what we detected, and they basically said the same as driver's side fan has some wobble to it. Okay, so what do we have in total? 2 rear upper control arms, 2 front control arms, exhaust repair, fan repair. Can you take a guess at what they estimated repairs at? Over $4,000. That is almost more than what we paid for the car. $4,000 to make those repairs. So the real question is, can we do it for less? Can we do it on our own? And can we do it in the 2-car garage that you guys have already seen? We'll let you know. In fact, you should follow along with us as we do this. So stay tuned for more Rose Driven Rides, where you're gonna see this old girl get the repairs that she needs, get it back through inspection. Let's see how we can beat the dealership on these prices, make her look a little bit better, add some add-ons, and let's take this 6.0 to 6 whoa. Stay driven.